It's strategic, fast-paced, and challenging to boot. And what you don't know about Crucible will put you behind other players early on. Hello everyone, it's Livid here, one half of the team behind Legion Gaming. And today, I'm breaking down everything I wish I knew sooner when playing Crucible. Crucible is easily a game I can see myself sinking hundreds of hours into, and thanks to the developers over at Amazon Game Studios, Legion Gaming had the chance to dive in early and experience the game as Crucible partners. We learned early on that not only does each character have its own independent learning curve, but the map, game modes, and even in-game events do as well. So today we'll be going over some essential things you need to know going into the game so that you aren't left saying, "Man, I really wish I knew that sooner." The most important thing straight out of the gate is you need to understand how important your life is in this game. I find myself equating the objectives and overall value of each character being on the map to that of a MOBA quite often. The reason for this is if you are picked off from your team, you will encounter a substantial 20-second respawn timer. This means fights will be lopsided, objectives will be hard to split up for, and the chance of the other team flipping the tables in their favor is extremely likely. Now, because of the way the map spawns work, you get to choose your point of entry, and this gives you flexibility when working as a team. You can spawn near your team and spend the next 10 to 15 seconds trying to get back in the fight, but only if it will directly help win that fight. If it doesn't and your team starts falling, it's usually better to focus on flipping objectives like harvesters or work to take advantage of special events. So even if the enemy team secures a harvester or a heart, your team will still keep up with the momentum of the match. Making that correct call will become easier with game experience and overall time. So don't stress too much early on. Just be sure to think before clicking respawn. Now, I mentioned events on the map, and let me tell you, there are tons of them that could spawn in any given match. At the very beginning, you will see a list of events, both minor and major, that can spawn at different intervals during a round. Understanding each one, the benefits you can receive from them, and how to effectively complete each one comes with game knowledge over time. Things like the damage and health amplifiers will grant your whole team sweeping buffs, while other events like the Stomper Herds will provide your team the opportunity to farm a large pool of essence all at once, which is critical for leveling. Sometimes giving up the heart in favor of securing your team a 25% damage or health regen buff can make that next critical engagement go directly in your favor. So learn what these events are and weigh which ones your team should focus on snagging. In terms of essence, here's another thing you need to know. Essence is shared amongst your entire team. There is absolutely no reason you need to fight over PvE kills because you're wasting two players' time for the same amount of XP. Only in the instance of massive wildlife groupings should your team assist in the kills to make it time efficient. Otherwise, split your team's focus early on and throughout the map. Grab harvesters, farm wildlife separately, and chip away at smaller events that pop up. And essence doesn't just matter in unlocking upgrades, but it also increases your team's health and damage for each level you earn. Still be aware of your surroundings, but more often than not, your team will come ahead in levels at your first and subsequent team engagements. While on the topic of engagements, you will certainly, at some point, play the heart of the Hive's game mode. At first, the Hives may seem like absolute damage sponges, but there are actually weak spots. Shooting the glowing bits on the stalk of the Hive will result in critical hits, allowing you to get those objectives down just a little bit faster. Now, this one was mentioned in the tutorial, but how often do players actually engage with an optional tutorial versus just watching a video? In case you didn't, this one is essential to succeeding in the game. If you crouch, your character will have access to a scan feature that allows you to see objectives, creatures, and even players across the map in the direction you are facing. They will initially display as blobs of red that become clear as you focus in on them. Use this to your advantage to find an opponent you lost or avoid getting jumped. Because there is no mini-map on the screen, it's important to get used to using this feature. It'll save your life more times than not. Now, while we are talking about in-game systems that can make a difference, we have to talk about the pods scattered around the map. You know, the green, yellow, pink, and red ones. Each has its own utility that can be utilized to great effect simply by shooting them. Train your eyes to look for them, and don't forget they can be your best friend in a firefight or when you need just that little bit of extra help. The green pods act as minor heals. Grab the floating gas it creates to regenerate a small portion of health, which can be clutch in a skirmish. The yellow pods emit an AoE gas cloud. Any players walking through that gas will gain a temporary cloaking effect. Use this to escape or engage on unsuspecting enemies or de-aggro wildlife. The pink pods are dangerous. Pop one of these to create an AoE ring of barbs on the floor that continuously damages anyone standing in them. And the red ones, most commonly found on walls and ceilings, will spray acid goo down in a conal effect. Anyone hit by it will receive a stacking dot for each projectile that they come into contact with. It's absolutely awesome stuff to use in a pinch and deals quite a bit of damage. Now, with all these options to damage players, and sometimes yourself, you'll want to heal, right? Well, learn the positions of the medkits on the map. They will always have a fixed spawn at the start of the game, but will become randomized as they're picked up. Securing a stash of them early on will be easy once you've learned the map. Did you also know that each character has a unique passive or two? Well, you wouldn't innately know that without checking your abilities using the F1 key. It seems everyone except Ajona has a passive that plays essentially into their respective kits. I'd recommend checking them out. Some are no-brainers, but others may have you thinking twice about a character. Now, the last few things that I want to mention are character specific. You might not know these, or you may just be looking for a tip or two to help you understand one of the many colorful characters in the game. So let's check some of these out. Earl's reload is 3 phases, and you can resume firing after any one of the reload phases is complete. So if you have downtime, fully stock it up, but if you're in a pinch, a few immediate bullets may be all you need to secure a kill. Another simple little tip is that Earl's thruster can be cancelled at any time by simply hitting the spacebar. You don't have to let it go for the full duration. As Summer, you can actually get off 3 full dashes without overheating by simply waiting just a bit at the end of each dash. This can be essential to escaping or catching up to a fleeing opponent. Now Bug is an interesting little fella, and he has an essence upgrade that makes it so you don't have to water his plant turrets for them to grow. But what if I told you not taking that upgrade might make your plant placements a bit more tactical? The reason for this is once the plants are grown, their death timers begin to immediately tick down. So unless you constantly babysit them, they will be gone before you know it. If they don't grow immediately, you can do crazy things like stack them on top of one another and activate them all with one shot, resulting in a rather high burst of damage on an unsuspecting enemy. Or you can still keep them spread apart and trigger them as you need them. Just some really cool options to consider with this adorable little bot. Now Drakal has a unique passive called Jink that you wouldn't know right out of the gate, but is actually key to being an agile menace on the battlefield. If you double tap spacebar, you will do a short dash in the direction you are moving. Now if you Jink, followed by your rush attack, followed by another Jink, you cover nearly double your original distance if you just use rush. Now this will make engaging and disengaging that much easier. With Rahi and Brother, you actually have multiple passives at work. Brother is capable of detecting enemies that deal damage to Rahi when they are side by side. Now consequently, when Brother is sent to scout ahead, he will detect any enemies in his line of sight, making him an invaluable tool for scouting. But it doesn't end there. If you find jumping to feel a bit laggy with Rahi, it's because his passive enables him to hold space to power up a super jump that when released, catapults you into the air. If you hold that space button too long just trying to simply hop around, your character may feel like it's stuttering, so just get used to using Rahi's different jumps more fluidly. Now the last one that may be rather obvious but still worth pointing out is that characters like Mendoza and Ajona can trigger critical hits with their weapons. To know you landed a crit, the hit marker will show up as a red instead of white, so land those crits. Now we hope this video set you on the right path to having successful matches and experiences with your favorite hunters. And if you do want more Crucible videos in your feed, don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out Legion Gaming on Discord. Our community of over 3,000 members is spread across dozens of great games. So check out the link below, join up, and make some new friends. We also recently launched our brand new Patreon page, so if you want to support the channel even more, feel free to check that out. Now my name is Livid, and from everyone here at Legion Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.